you're never going to deter espionage activity, right? We do it.
Been
Everybody
around for
else
a long
does
time,
it. There's just no way that you're going to deter something like that. And I think that was one of the reasons that things like Salt Typhoon was such a watershed, is because there was no real intelligence value in terms of gaining access to some of these Volt Typhoon.
Yeah.
Excuse me, in gaining access to some of these critical infrastructure companies, right? That's really prepositioning for conflict.
Absolutely.
And so that, I think, is where we need to focus the discussion when it comes to deterrence, and not just deterring quote unquote malicious cyber activity. It's things like that, the destruction, things like the Sony hack, right? Things like ransomware. You know, Senator Angus King, this is one of his pet projects. Every single cyber hearing, he's always talking about cyber deterrence. General Nakasone, the previous Cybercom commander, famously said at his confirmation hearing that adversaries don't fear us. And so where I see the deterrence discussion going is we've seen the administration say that they want to get a lot more aggressive. But when you just look at the sheer numbers, it just doesn't seem as though adversaries are deterred from taking some of this action.
Volt Typhoon crossed the line.
Right.
Salt, as brutal as it was and effective and efficient, I think we're still learning the consequences of just how significant of a breach that was. That is espionage. That, as much as you hate to do it, it's going to happen. But I don't see red lines, and I think people lose. It's not just deterring. You don't deter cyber. You deter actors from engaging. And what deters China may not be the same as Russia or Iran or North Korea or the cartels or you name the ransomware gangs.
And part of this too is that this is a whole of government activity, right? You know, you don't necessarily have to respond to cyber with cyber.
Exactly.
But I think with that, you know, we've heard about this risk aversion to taking actions in cyberspace. I think part of loosening the reins with some of the authorities over the past few years and some of the tough talk on getting more aggressive is, you know, not necessarily being so risk averse. And I think that there's something to be said maybe about just putting sand in the gears. If there's a way to create more friction and make it harder for them to do their job, they might think twice about it. Just being present in the space and making it a little bit more hard for them to take that cyber operation is better than doing nothing, or at least is maybe deterring them from putting in a little bit more effort because they know it's going to take more effort.